Hi, I would like to dissect 923 and 1122 to show you why I believe that 1122 is the date for the second 9/11. And we can start off with the breakdown of key dates. And that is, so we're looking right here at Independence Day, which is the 185th day of the year, and that breaks down to 14. And in this case I'm using the 2 number method for the date. If you look at the number of floors in the World Trade Center, there are 104, so I believe this is very significant. And I will not be looking at the 1-digit method, although with the 1-digit you also end up with 14 for 9/11. In the case of the World Trade Center, it's 23, which is also significant. But I will not be covering that method this time around. I'm looking for patterns and using the 2 method. In terms of 9/11, it's the 254th day. It breaks down to an 11, and the actual date is a 41, which is a inverse 14. And you'll notice from the color coding that we have a number of 14s here. It's a nice inverse to our Roman sacrifice day, 1122, and I call it the Roman sacrifice day because with your Roman numbering, it's always the 9th month, which we've seen a lot in programming. However, it occurs really on the 11th, November, which is really 9. So here we have our 41, here we have our 14. Now on our message day, we also have a 14, and it's in the base on the actual day, just like Independence Day. And I do believe that it has significance. However, it's not an inverse of 9/11. And it doesn't have many numbers here that do connect up. So now let's look at our inverse sacrifice day. So 9/11, we have the 11th day, 11th day. It is a 14 in terms of date. It starts off as a 68, which is also significant, but ends up as a 14 and an inverse of 41. And then when we subtract it from Independence Day, we end up with the full 141. It's a 14 and a 41. So you have the full inverse and 14. 36 is the difference between Independence Day and your 1122. 63 is what it was for 9/11 and Independence Day. Again, your inversion numbers. And then if you look at the difference between the sacrifice days, you end up with 72 days. It's 27 in number. It's actually breaks down when you look at the difference to 27 years. And this is the difference between Independence Day and 9/11. Comparison years. 2015 is 14 years after 2001. 2015 minus 1776, 239 years. Even that breaks down to a 14. And as I mentioned, our odd number is 69. It's a vortex number, and I will get to the importance of that later in this as well. Now I'd like to go over mythos of duality, and it's with your gods and goddesses. There's always 2 facets to them, and in this case we're going to be covering Egyptian mythos, which when you add Boaz 44 to Joachim 45, the 2 twin pillars, you end up with 89, which is gematria for Osiris. And Osiris was cut into 14 parts. And upside down Osiris is 68, and the day we're looking for is a 68 that will then break down to a 14. Now the sacrifice days have a difference of 72, and there were 72 betrayers of Osiris. We can also look at this as the 72 virgins and 72 Solomon demons. It's 52 years since JFK was assassinated. 52 is gematria for Seth, the Egyptian evil twin of Osiris. Chaos, he's setting sun, destruction. Again, we have the destroyer phase right in the name. Another destroyer is Kali Yuga. She's the last phase. And she's celebrated at the same time as Scorpio. And we have our many-armed Kali Yuga. We have our many-legged Scorpio, with Scorpio ending on 11/22. And in this case, it's Gematria 95, upside down 65. We end up with our black destroyer version of Isis. Now, some reasons why 923 was so heavily shown in our programming. We already know the Pope's going to be arriving. It's a message. But if you flip this number around, you end up with a 326th day, which is 11/22. You flip it around again, you end up with 239th year since Independence Day. That's 2015. And it's a Roman 11/23 for Jade Helm. Jade Helm 15 is the 6 and the 9 together, which I do believe will go online on 11/23. Now, I wanted to point out that Jade Helm, actually, we saw it develop on 7/15, which was a dark moon, and that is a 57. So we could infer that that links up nicely to Veterans Day on 11/11, which is also a 57, but we won't actually see it be implemented until 11/23. So 11/22 occurs exactly 11 days later. 12 days later, we see Jade Helm 15. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to say on this. I will play a brief ad that actually shows some of how I look at this as well on the next video, so that you can see a little more of what I'm talking about in terms of the idea behind duality and cutting up in order to end up with a new reality of one. Until next time, bye.